pure paradise. The beaches in this video are stunningly beautiful and very unique. Here are the 15 most unique beaches on Earth. Number 15. Jökulsárlón Beach, Iceland. Jökulsárlón is a huge glacial lake in the Vatnajökull National Park, Iceland, and it's home to one of the most bizarre beaches you'll ever see. Due to the continuous melting of the nearby glaciers, it's constantly increasing in size and is now 4 times the size it was in the 1970s. With a constant supply of icebergs floating in the water, the geographical features that form here are breathtaking. Most spectacular is the Diamond Beach, which is made up of fine particles of black volcanic rock. Here, pieces of crystallized ice are washed ashore from the lake, and at certain times of day when the light is right, it feels like you've been transported to an entirely different world. Number 14. Vadhu Beach, Maldives. Also known as the Sea of Stars, Vadhu Beach is one of the most entrancing places on Earth thanks to the abundance of bioluminescent plankton that live in the coastal waters. The island itself is tiny, with only 500 permanent residents, but it's one of the most popular places in the Maldives because of this naturally occurring phenomenon. The glow of the plankton is actually a defensive measure and is triggered by nearby movement. This means that the crash of the waves or even the soft press of a footprint is enough to trigger it. And if you're there in the evening or at night, the effect is awe-inspiring. Similar things can be seen on a few other beaches in the world during certain seasons, but at Vadhu, it's visible all year round. Number 13. The Red Sand Beach, Galapagos. The Galapagos Islands are well known for their unique biodiversity, but it's not just the plants and the wildlife that are unusual. The geographical features are unlike anywhere else on Earth, too. On Rabida Island, thanks to its volcanic coastline, the beaches aren't covered in the white sand you might expect, but they are a deep, rich red color. The reason for this is of the high levels of iron that are present after countless eruptions over the millennia. It makes for a stunning view out across the surrounding waters, and if you ever make the trip there, you'll find yourself in good company, with large herds of sea lions and colonies of blue-footed boobies, brown pelicans, and finches that call this place home. Number 12. Papako'olea Beach, Hawaii. When you think of an ideal beach, you'll probably picture either perfectly white or golden yellow sand. But what about green? There are 4 known naturally green beaches in the world, but the most impressive can be found on the Big Island in Hawaii. Papako'olea Beach is in a bay that's formed by volcanic cone that was formed around 49,000 years ago. And rather than being the result of algae or dye, the sand is this unusual color because it has been formed by naturally green rocks. When volcanoes erupt, they release various minerals, one of the most common of which is olivine, which contains both iron and magnesium. It's one of the first to crystallize as magma cools. And this is what gives the green color, because the iron is present in ferrous form. Number 11. Glass Beach, California. You usually think of a beach as being made up of sand or stones, but there's one in California that's completely different, because it's actually completely covered in glass. Located close to Fort Bragg, this is the result of years and years of garbage disposal along the nearby coastline. The crashing waves pummeled the glass and pottery and turned them into small, smooth, rounded pieces that were then washed ashore. The beach is therefore completely safe to walk along and a vibrant blend of color. Jewelry makers often go there to find parts for their designs, and it's such a beautiful place that more than 1,000 people visit it per day during the summer months. The main glass beach, along with 2 others that are nearby, proves just how much of an impact human waste disposal can have on an ecosystem, but at the same time shows that it's not necessarily always such a bad thing. Number 10. Zlatni Rat Beach, Croatia. Also known as the Golden Cape, Zlatni Rat Beach is one of the best you can visit in the Mediterranean, and amazingly, each time you go, it'll always be slightly different. That's because the spit of land, which is about a mile to the west of the town of Bol, is subjected to strong ocean currents that are continually reshaping it. Most of the land is covered with white pebbles to form a 2,080-foot-long beach. But in the center, there's a pine grove that conceals the remains of a Roman villa and its still operating swimming pool. The far end of the beach, which points south, is where the most changes occur. It usually curls in an easterly direction, but during certain winds in the summer, it'll completely shift to the west. Surrounded by cool ocean waters, this beach is one of the most popular in Croatia and is the perfect place to relax when temperatures soar. Number 9. Cathedral Beach, Spain. It may seem like an unusual name to have, but once you see what Cathedral Beach looks like, it'll all soon become clear. It's on the northwestern coast of Spain, and in the local language is called the Praia de Agua Santa, which means Beach of the Holy Waters. The cliff face here has been subjected to the powerful forces of the Atlantic Ocean, which has carved the rock in a way that looks almost like a Gothic architecture. Some of the arches these processes have formed are more than 90 feet tall, and the coastal walls are littered with cracks that serve as the entrances to hidden caves behind. It's undoubtedly one of the most stunning beaches in the world, and in an added twist, during low tide you can walk through, but during high tide the area is completely underwater and provides an equally impressive opportunity for a boat ride through the arches. Before we move on, be sure to subscribe to Top 5s with notifications on. Number 8. En Source d'Argent, Seychelles. Often voted the most beautiful beach in the world and easily one of the most photographed, En Source d'Argent is truly an otherworldly paradise. It's on the island of La Digue in the Seychelles and is surrounded by emerald-colored, clear, warm water and has fine, perfectly white sand. The thing that makes this place truly unique, though, is the presence of huge granite boulders along the shoreline. They've been smoothed by the action of the waves and the sand that's blown in the wind, and they look simply magical. Images don't do this place justice, as they look as if they've been painted, and it's only when you set foot on the beach that you see how real it is. Add to this the rich biodiversity in the water, with large numbers of fish and turtles that can be seen from the shoreline, and it's virtually guaranteed that you'll never want to leave. Number 7. Star Sand Beach, Japan. At first, when you walk across the sandy beaches of Takatomi Island in Japan, you might not think there's anything too different from other beaches you've visited. But if you take a closer look, you'll soon realize this beach is one of the most unusual in the world. That's because here, mixed in with the sand particles, are the husks of millions upon millions of tiny organisms called foraminifera, and the particular species that are native to the waters are star-shaped in appearance. If you pick up just a small handful of sand, you'll have hundreds of stars in your hand, which is why this place is commonly referred to as the Star Sand Beach. This isn't the only beach in the area where you can see this, although it's by far the largest. Next time someone asks you if there are more grains of sand on the beach or stars in the sky, then remember this beach in Japan, as it proves the answer isn't quite as simple as it first seems. Number 6. Benaguil Sea Cave Beach, Portugal. If you've been searching for somewhere with crystal clear water, perfect sand, and isolation from the rest of the world, then the Benaguil Sea Cave Beach in Portugal is ideal. It's on the Algarve, and thanks to the soft rock formations in the area, the tidal forces have carved incredible structures with arches and a giant skylight, with a beach nestled inside. It almost looks as if Neptune himself created this idyllic getaway, and it provides the perfect relaxing retreat. When the sun shines in, it illuminates the amber hues and the layered walls, and it's much larger inside than you'd think when looking at it from a distance. The thing that makes it special is that you can't simply walk there. The only way to access it is through one of the arches in the sea. This means you need a kayak or a boat to get there, and there's never too many people who have made the trip on any given day. Number 5. Whitehaven Beach, Australia. If you're looking for crystal white sands and turquoise-colored sea, then there's simply no better place in the world to visit than Whitehaven Beach. The 4.3-mile-long stretch of coastline is on Whitsunday Island in Australia, which is amongst the Great Barrier Reef and means the water is teeming with life. The reason why the sand is so spectacular is because of its extremely high silica content. Unusually, none of the local rocks contain silica, so it's thought that all of the sand has been washed in by sea currents over millions of years. This has made it take on properties far different from what you might be used to. And it's known for its inability to absorb heat, so no matter how hot the day is, you'll still be able to walk across the beach barefoot without any problems. It's so finely ground, though, that it has a habit of getting everywhere and can cause particular problems for electronic equipment. It's rumored, though, that the sand is such good quality that it was actually used by NASA to produce the glass for the Hubble Space Telescope in the 1970s. Aerial shots of the bay are stunning and show the way the ocean is pushing the sand up into the cove. It's now such an important place for local tourism that rules are in place to help preserve it for years to come. While you are allowed to have a barbecue as long as you take all the trash home with you, dogs and smoking are expressly banned to prevent the sand from becoming tarnished. Number 4. The Bomb Blast Beach, Mexico. Most beaches have been formed over thousands of years from the action of the waves lashing against the coast, but there's one in Mexico that was created much more recently, and rather being a product of nature, this one has its roots in human activity. Located in Puerto Vallarta on the Marietta Islands, which are just a few miles off the coast of Mexico, Playa de Amor, which means the Love Beach, has become increasingly popular over the last few years thanks to its stunning vistas and perfect Instagram moments. The hidden beach lies within a strange-shaped opening in the ground, and if this doesn't look to you like a natural feature, then you'd be right. The islands used to be a testing ground for the Mexican military, and this is a crater formed by the detonation of a bomb. The only way to access it is by a short swim through a tunnel, and while you're there, you'll witness countless different species of marine wildlife, like humpback whales, dolphins, and manta rays. With such escalating interest from visitors wanting their own chance to relax on the secluded island, authorities have stepped in to ensure the beach is preserved, as the island chain has also been designated as a protective nature reserve. You must have a permit to even travel to the island, and the number that are granted each year are strictly limited. If you're lucky enough to get one, though, this is guaranteed to be an experience that you'll never forget. Number 3. Pink Sand Beach, Bahamas. The Bahamas are known for their incredible weather, azure waters, and perfect beaches. But there's one place that's become famous for the way it stands out above the rest. On the coast of Harbor Island is a beach where, instead of being white or golden yellow, the sand has a slight pink tint to it. You may have seen images of this before and assume that the pink hues are a result of camera trickery. While it's true that visitors often add filters to try to make the beach appear far more vivid than it is in real life, the true color is still quite impressive. The effect is present along the entire 3-mile-long and 100-foot-wide beach, and it happened because of a specific species of animal that lives on the reef, called Foraminifera. These microscopic insects feed off the coral and have shells that are either bright pink or red in color. They're one of the most prevalent organisms in the ocean, but because Harbor Island is surrounded by such a vast reef that's not far offshore, it has one of the densest populations of this particular pink-colored species in the world. Once they've reached the end of their lives, the currents and waves crush the shells and wash them ashore, where they're mixed in with sand and pieces of coral on the beach. The color is most pronounced at the water's edge along the sand, and while technically you're walking across crushed remains of small insects, a trip to this beach has to be on the bucket list of any self-respecting world traveler. Number 2. Hot Water Beach, New Zealand. New Zealand is one of the most beautiful countries in the world, and with such mountainous and lush landscapes, it's no wonder that so many movies choose it as the place for filming. There's far more to the country than the peaks and forests, though, and Hot Water Beach, which is on the Coromandel Peninsula, is one of the most popular tourist destinations. Located just over 100 miles from the city of Auckland, it's estimated that as many as 700,000 people make the trip there each year. New Zealand is covered in hotspots of geothermal vents, and that's what causes the unique environment on this beach. The Waikato region where it is full of pools and salt flats, and the beach offers one of the most unusual interactions visitors can have with hot springs. 2 hours either side of low tide, you can dig into the sand and release hot water, which continues to bubble up and can be used to create your very own pool. There are 2 underground fissures where the water flows from, and the water can reach temperatures of up to 147 degrees Fahrenheit. Large groups of people will often work together to make huge hot tubs in the sand, and it's such a popular and easy activity that there are even kiosks on the beach where you can hire a shovel to dig out your own design. While you may not immediately think of going to a beach on a cold or rainy day, this place is certainly an exception, because that's almost the ideal conditions to visit. There are, however, warnings in place for anyone wanting to dig a pool, and that's to be very careful you're thinking of swimming in the ocean. There are powerful riptides and deep water currents, which means that however tempting it may be to take a dip to cool off, there are only specific parts of the beach that are safe to do so. Nevertheless, if you love digging holes on the beach and relaxing in hot geothermal waters, there's nowhere else in the world that's quite like it. So if you're in the area, it's well worth a visit. Number 1. Pfeiffer Beach, California. Pfeiffer Beach is on the coast of Big Sur in California, and it's one of the most unusual beaches in the continental U.S. Rather than having golden or white sand, the deposits there have a distinct purple coloration to it, which leads to the formation of some incredible patterns and shapes. Not all of the sand is this color, which further adds to the beauty of it. The waves continually move it around, and no 2 days are ever the same. The reason for it is because of the presence of manganese garnet in the rocks and cliffs around the beach, and the action of the sea against them both makes it crumble away, grinds it into a fine sand, and then deposits it onto the beach. The beach is accessible all throughout the year, but for a particularly special time, it's best seen during sunrise or sunset. Subscribe to Top 5s for more and check out some of our other popular videos.